Hi, this is Cheryl for Bayer's Pampered Stampers. Today I have some fun products to show you from a company called Pinkfresh Studio. These are fairly new in the shop. They've been around a week or so. So there's still a great selection. Check with Melissa if you're interested in something, certainly. And I understand there's more coming next week to replenish. So you should be able to get what you want. This first card is made using a cover plate die called Modern Blooms. It's really, really pretty and easy to cut out. When I cut this on my machine, and I know machines are all different, we all know that, I only had to do one pass and all of this detail cut out. So I think you probably would not have too much issue with your machine. You know what it takes to cut out the intricate stuff like this. And just do that and you should be fine. So this is the image that I came out with. I cut it out of white cardstock. Super, super easy. I put a piece of cardstock behind it and then grabbed my sponge daubers and added a little bit of color around, kind of a tealy blue green here for the leaves and a bright pink for the flowers. Super, super easy and quick. Added the quick thank you sentiment. The background paper here I have is the Lawn Fawn Spiffy Speckles. I think this is the pool, or kind of like a light tealish color. So that just adds a little bit of interest in the background there without any additional work on my part. And I was good to go. So super simple cards. Again, that cover plate is called Modern Blooms, and it was really easy to work with, I thought. Here's a stencil set, which is just really pretty. This is called Daisy Wreath. It's also from Pinkfresh Studio. You can see how pretty it turns out. Don't be freaking out yet. What you'll find inside is a 5-piece stencil set. Sorry, I lost my word there for a minute. Must be getting old. They're really easy to work with. How do you know which to start with and which to end with? We just use this darker paper so you can see this better, but it shows up very well on white even when you're working on it. It tells you at the top they're numbered. Stencil 1, that's where you start. You can see the little bracket in the corner here. Those brackets are in every corner, so when you cut a piece of paper, that's A2, so 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. They fit right within those brackets if you line it up properly, and I don't think I quite have. And then you just line them all up like that, and your stencil lines up exactly where it should. You start with stencil 1 and you move on. You can look at the picture and see the first thing we're doing is these leaves here. So you kind of know what color to pick out. I will say when I did it, I used washi tape or something similar to just hold the cardstock in place on the stencil. I just had a piece at top and bottom so that it didn't move and everything stayed in position. And so again, with each of the other stencils, super, super easy to line things up and to get your image looking like this. Now, obviously, you can use any colors that you like. So you can make pink or purple or yellow or whatever you like. So this is a cool set, again, called Daisy Wreath. Now we move to a stamp, die, and stencil grouping called Friendship Blooms. Here is the stamp set. You can see you've got 2 very nice sized blooms, some leaves that go with it, a little flower sprig, and a bunch of sentiments. So there's a lot of choice there. So you could stamp these and you could color them with pencils or Copics or whatever you want to use there. Watercolors would be nice. You could also purchase the stencil set. This is another 5-piece stencil set, just like we saw, that makes this beautiful image. Again, so you could do this to get your flowers on and use maybe sentiments from the stamp set, whatever you like. Here's the die set. The die set is just going to cut out those images, whether they be stamped or stenciled or whatever. You've got the perfect dies to cut out the 2 different blooms, the flower the leaf pieces, and then that little flower sprig that's there. So it's an awesome set, again, called Friendship Blooms. Really, really pretty, and would make any great all-occasion cards. Here's another one that kind of comes in that same format: stamp, stencil, and die. Pieces are purchased separately, just like with the other one. I only brought the stencil home for this one, but you can see the design and how pretty that is. This shows you the stamp set there, so you've got this same image in the stamp set with 4 different sentiments that go with it. Our stencil set is another 5-piecer. Again, they're all numbered, so you know which piece is where. You can look to the back to figure out what color it's done in. Is it a lighter or a darker? If you're concerned about having enough greens or pinks or purples or whatever to make these, remember the Altenew ink pad sets that Melissa has in the shop, and those are just super, super easy to use when you need coordinating colors for projects like this. So again, this one is called Infinite Blooms. This next set is a stencil and die set. It's called Overlapping Leafy Wreath. And you can see for this particular wreath, the designers at Pinkfresh decided to use 4 different colors for the 4 stencils. And so that gives you one look, certainly. Here are a couple of cards Melissa did at a symposium earlier this year, and you can see how it looks with the green colors, and just turned out really, really pretty. Here's a slim card done using the same stencil and die. The sentiment across, I believe, is also a Pinkfresh. And so just really, really cool possibility. Look at how fun it is with the rhinestones just stripped around on the cards. It just gives a different but really cool look to them. Here is a card that I did with it. I wanted to be a little bit different, so I chose the colors grays and pinks to do mine, and I wanted my pinks to be bold and vibrant, and my grays to be just kind of moody and underneath there. So I thought this turned out really cool with the pink and the gray matting on it as well. Here were some other attempts I had to get this going. This one was my first gray and pink attempt. What I found was, when you're using 4 stencils, and this is a 4 stencil set, this one I did 1 and 2 with gray, and then 3 and 4 with pink. I changed it up for this one and did 1 and 3 with gray and 2 and 4 with pink. And I felt like these blended together too much, the similar colors, but these made them pop, and the individuality shows. Shouldn't use big words if my mouth isn't working today, huh? There is a die set that goes along with this. This is what it looks like. As you can imagine, it can be somewhat difficult to line it up, but I've got a couple of tricks to show you. First of all, I cut it from a brighter, darker cardstock because I thought using the old Heartfelt Creations trick of the hinge die might work with this to line it up, but I was having a little trouble with that. So what I ended up doing was taking the cut piece from this and taking that and lining it up over the wreath. Just like that, pretty much. And then I kind of marked my center with pencil on the wreath. So I knew when I lined this up again, if I stenciled exactly the same way, which I'm going to using the stencils and how they're set up, then I would know approximately where this needed to go. Once I get this piece, I can lay the die over fairly easily and match it up. Now you'll notice I marked my paper over here as well, so that I knew how I was matching up. my hand's in the way here, which is why I'm having a little trouble here. It's not really a problem, just sort of keeping it on camera, and I need an extra hand today. But you can see my lines sort of match up. My die is shifted now. Great job. But it's essentially where it needs to be. If I remove this wreath from underneath, it's pretty easy to move my die into position. Because I can see my landmarks and just kind of slide it in. You do have some unique parts. This sort of juts into the center. There's some things on the outside that jut out. So it's not too hard to find your place. But once you do that, if you do some little markings, it will just make it much, much easier for you the second time around to find proper placement. I marked the cardstock here. I didn't have a Sharpie right there with me, but I want to grab a Sharpie and just mark the die the same way. And I think it will be super easy to line it up the next time. So not difficult. When you look at how this die is made, unlike the old heartfelt ones used to be, they would have a little extra in the center, so you really couldn't see the reference points as well. This, you're right on, so it's pretty easy to line up. I do find by keeping the darker paper behind, it's easier to keep focused where to line up to. And so, you know, just keep adjusting till you get it right. Use your washi to keep it in place, and you're in good shape. It's not as hard as it looks. And again, once you get it done, it's much easier the second time around. So that is called the overlapping leafy wreath, a really fun piece to play with. Just set some of this aside here. This is another Stampin' Die set. This one is called Painted Peony Mix Stamp, and it's a really cool stamp set. It's got 3 or 4 sentiments with it. The die set is unlike the others that we've seen because this one cuts all at once, so it's all together. You just have to line things up, and so wreath to wreath and bouquet to bouquet, and what you're going to end up with is 9 different cut pieces. So you're going to stamp this down in your cardstock. It is about 9.5 inches long from end to end, so you want to cut your paper in the center of that 11, so 4 1/4 by 11, and that way you can stamp everything on and cut it out. Again, I use the darker paper behind. You'll see a lot of washi hanging on this so that I can tape it. If I just get it lined up at the wreath, that's not enough. I need to line up here and down here in order to have the whole thing cut out. Looks a little daunting, but it's super, super easy. Now the really cool part about this set is a matching washi tape that goes with it. So this is probably about a 4-inch washi tape. It's got the same designs as the stamp set, and it's pretty sturdy for washi. I'm pulling it out. You can see the bouquet there at the top, but it goes all the way through the bouquet to the wreath. You can take that and you can put it on a piece of paper of your choice, and you will end up with something that looks like this. This is on white. And so you can see I have a beautiful wreath. There's a piece in the center that's usable. All these little pieces here that can be used, and the bouquet at the top. They all cut out. They're all very usable and very cool. You've got that wonderful gold edging around the side, which just makes it look so rich. And like you spent a heck of a lot of time, but trust me on this, you don't have to. What I like about the washi is it has some interesting stuff going on here. So even if you just wanted to use the washi straight off the roll in something, so it would appear, you know, like this, it's still going to look good because you don't have blank parts. They got little dots of color, which are so, so cool. Here's a couple of cards that I made. This is just a very simple 1-layer card on white. So I put the washi tape on white, cut all my pieces out. I selected the wreath and this little tiny piece for my card, added a couple of sequins and a sentiment, and I was good to go. So it's simple. This is a mini slim card. Very cool card. This one I layered up a little so you could see the look layered. I added the gold because the gold is in the washi. This time I used ivory cardstock, and I almost like the color on ivory a little better. It gets kind of rich here. It's more transparent and bright on white, but I love the look on the ivory. So you have many choices to work with. Let me show you some other ones that I did. These are the bouquets. So I have the white and the ivory. You can see a real quick compare of those two and how they look side by side. But look at how your flowers change color. It's kind of surprising, but they do. They look really cool on either one. Again, I slightly prefer the ivory, but that's me. I decided to try some darker paper to see what happened. Again, here's my white and ivory. You can see my flowers got much darker and moodier on the dark colors. This one is a charcoal gray, and this one is, I think it's called jelly bean green, but you know, they're both fairly dark colors, but the mood changes with this. So you have lots and lots of choices with the washi, which is in and of itself is pretty transparent, but it transforms based on the color of paper you put it on. So you can have a lot of fun just changing that up. I don't know exactly how many of those panels are on this roll of washi, but it's pretty big, and so I think you'll be making these cards for a while. What I found is it's best to keep the washi in a plastic bag. This was just from rolling around for a couple of days, and you can see that the edges don't stick down very well once they've been up, and so it started to pick up dirt and dust around the house and that sort of thing, different pieces of cardstock, whatever was going on in the area. And so it's really easy to mess up the washi. So stick it in a plastic bag and you'll be much happier with it. Again, this one is called Painted Peony Mix. The washi tape is out of stock at the store, but it should be back in sometime this week. So keep watching for it. Check with Melissa and she can let you know when that comes in. So lots of cool, fun projects from Pinkfresh. I definitely recommend that you try some of the stencils, the stamps, the dies. They're just all high quality to work with. Lots of fun. You pick the pieces that you like and are most likely to work with, so you're not stuck with full sets of these things. All the pieces are sold separately. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.